And we'll get started with Darren. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you very much, Bonnie, and hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. I look forward to taking a few moments. Thank you for your time, by the way, to hear from us all. And I'm just going to introduce elements of the cybersecurity training program in place at Willis College. You can tell by the color of my hair that I'm not brand new to the cybersecurity industry. I've been working for well over 30 years in this field. And in fact, for most of the 25 years preceding joining Bonnie and her team at Willis College, working as a consultant and sometimes a startup operator in this field. And I've been very delighted and encouraged to see how the cybersecurity field has really become so interesting to so many people. And as well, I have to confess that one time I was a hiring manager over the course of those 25 years. I believe I've hired more than 150 people. And shortly before joining Willis, I had the pleasure of hiring 3 of Willis College's graduates. And I was quite impressed with how poised these professionals were, how knowledgeable they were, but especially how quickly the graduates were able to begin work right away, hit the ground running, all of those nice expressions that we use in the business community to describe someone getting what's required to build a successful career, but getting it quickly and acting upon it. And within the Willis College program, you can see on this slide that there are some elements to the program that really build upon each other and prepare you for your career in the cybersecurity industry, beginning with elements relating to network technology and the provisioning of really service desk capabilities, very important building block to really any sort of IT career. But then building upon that into a cybersecurity operator point of focus, which we'll describe a little bit about later in this webinar, and then culminating in building that skills stack into a cybersecurity analyst type of focus. And part of what makes the Willis College graduates so exceptional at their ability to get into their places of employment and begin delivering value right away, begin their very positive career trajectory, is the quality of the partnerships that we have at Willis College. And you can see from this slide, we have partnerships with organizations that you've likely heard of, Cisco, naturally Microsoft, Fortinet, Checkpoint, Linux, SonicWall. Working with the team here and working with those high quality technology partners, it's really exciting to be able to get their perspectives on the curriculum, but also make sure that the curriculum that we're delivering to is appropriate, it's relevant, it's current, so that all of our graduates emerge from Willis College and get into their careers right away. And in the next slide, I think there's one of the statistics that I'm especially proud of. It sets a very high bar for someone like me just coming into the organization only 5 months ago. The fact that we have a career placement rate of over 90% for our cybersecurity graduates. And this has been a number that has been historically achieved by the Willis College team. The cybersecurity analyst program is one that Willis has had in place for, I believe, over 10 years. At least I know I first encountered Willis College 7 years ago through Fortinet. So I'm especially excited to see how our grads are able to get into their careers quickly, And in fact, for those of you who would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, one of the things that I like to do is once a fortnight have a crossing paths over coffee dialogue with one of our grads or one of our students and share a little bit about their career achievements. Now, one of the misconceptions perhaps about a career in cybersecurity, it is strictly a technology-focused career. And having been in this field for the length of time that I have been, I can certainly relate that while having a degree of technical acumen is helpful, and for those people who want to pursue a technical trajectory, extremely helpful, and it's quite advantageous to have technical proficiency as excellent as many of our grads have. I also want to emphasize that there are business and management and emotional intelligence types of skills that really play into a truly successful cybersecurity career. So think about, if you don't have much of a technical background, don't be concerned about that. Think about what you've been doing in your life, in your work experience that maybe is not IT focused, and ask yourself questions of the sort that are posed in this slide. How well have you been able to handle different, multiple, competing priorities? That's something that confronts many cybersecurity professionals in their day-to-day experience. Part of what makes cybersecurity so exciting is that nothing is done by a checklist. Every single day is different from each other. So how well do you cope with ambiguity? If you think about situations, if you're working for an organization that's experiencing a hacking attack, there is no perfect set of information that you would be able to make use of in order to help your organization respond to an event like that. Ambiguity, lack of clarity in the information that you're presented with in very rapid circumstances is a hallmark of what this career can offer. And also think about how well it is that you focus on different types of information, what your preference would be. If your preference is to think about specific technological vulnerabilities or different types of attacks and what you can do to help combat them, then a career trajectory oriented toward the cybersecurity operator is likely going to be one that's of interest to you. If, however, you prefer to think of situations like those vulnerabilities and attacks in more of a business context and think about the different risks and threats that you're helping your employer cope with, then that's more aligned to a cybersecurity analyst career trajectory. Happily, at Willis College, we outfit all of our grads with capabilities to succeed very well in both modes of operation. And I think one of the elements that really makes the distinction between cyber operator, cyber analyst even more clear is if we start to look at some of the career opportunities that are out there. And my colleague Michael leads the way in scanning the marketplace and letting us know about the different careers that are attracting attention. And Michael, perhaps if you could join in to the next slide.
Yeah, so my role at Willis College is to help out anytime we're looking at updating an existing program or creating a new program. We do extensive labor market research because we want to make sure that our graduates are going to have long, fruitful, really interesting careers. We want to make sure that when you graduate, there are positions that are there waiting for you, that you're relevant to apply for based on the skills that you've learned in your program. Cybersecurity encapsulates so many different job titles. So, you can go to Indeed and search on, funky job titles like blue and red team specialist, systems data communications expert, end administrator, which stands for enterprise network defense. And the list goes on and on and on. But at the end of the day, they all fall under the umbrella of cybersecurity. So what I did earlier this afternoon was I went to Indeed, favorite search engine of mine, looking at career opportunities. There's a variety of them out there, but I went through Indeed. And because we've got so many people on this webinar tonight, I looked at major centers all over Canada just to give you an idea of what's happening right now in the sector. So these are full-time positions directly related to cybersecurity. So in Ottawa, there are 145 full-time positions. In the Greater Toronto Area, the GTA, there's over 614 career opportunities. Calgary has 66. Winnipeg, probably the smallest center that I looked at, where I'm actually based out of, 33 full-time positions available. And in Vancouver, 195. And it's just consistently growing. Those numbers are pretty stable. They don't fluctuate much at all unless they start climbing. Again, one of the things that we wanted to do to make the labor market data relevant to you is to look at a couple of different job postings that Darren and I actually thought were pretty interesting. The reason being that they're relevant to the program. There is a college diploma requirement, so you do need advanced education. And honestly, they're just really cool positions that a recent grad could apply for. So Darren and I, we picked these. So the first one is an analyst in the Cyber Investigations Division of Canada Post. Darren, do you want to speak to this position and how it's relevant to program and why it's such a cool career?
Yes, well, one of the more interesting aspects of a career in cyber is the belief that that you are contributing to the greater good of society, and in part, this translates to, in some cases, operating in an investigative capacity, which is precisely what this job posting is aligning itself to. In fact, Canada Post, in this case, is looking for 2 individuals to carry out this job function. And what's especially exciting about this from a personal standpoint, you could probably well imagine working in this field for the period of time that I have, and in some of the years where I have, thinking back to the 1980s, the late 1980s, I'm not that old, early 1990s, it was a much smaller community, meaning that a career in IT security meant that a person had to carry out a wide variety of functions that have now become quite specialized. And in carrying out cyber investigations, what this person will end up doing is really being at the forefront of following up on activities that maybe are noticed by the security operations team at Canada Post, and especially looking into anomalous activities, looking into suspicious activities. And I just know from my personal experience, being someone who has conducted many investigations, cyber investigations can, lead you in a variety of different places. If you have an element to your personality that really enjoys being on the side of justice, this is the sort of role that you would especially enjoy, particularly if you are involved in some investigations, or even as the job spec is describing, forensic technological applications whereby you are working with law enforcement to deal with potentially very serious cybersecurity breaches.
It's the CSI division of Canada Post, right?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. The second one that we really liked, actually, this is a brand new post that's come up. Cyber Threat Intelligence Analyst with Scotiabank. Why did this one jump out for you?
Well, it jumped out to me for a couple of reasons, and one of the prime reasons is because I know the team there, so I know how how outstanding the people are that are in charge of this particular function at Scotiabank. So whoever it is that does get hired into this role is going to be working with an outstanding team of people. This is really getting into the leading edge of dealing with threats and how those threats may become risks to an organization. You can well imagine, as one of the premier banks in Canada, Scotiabank undergoes a large number of attempted breaches every single day. That's not of any surprise. But what you would be doing here is working with a very proficient team at understanding, potentially mountains of data, but correlating those mountains of data with other threat indicators, other threat feeds from different vendors, and really focusing in on patterns of attempted access that maybe none of the tools have encountered before. And so there's a really heavy duty research angle to this particular role that's an especially exciting one. Certainly looking back to those early stages of my career, I certainly wish there were jobs like this when I got my start.
Yeah, the sector's constantly evolving and changing. And again, these are two starting career points for graduates of the program. I'd encourage people to go to Indeed and just type in cybersecurity and where you're from, and you start going through that, and the opportunities are pretty incredible. At this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to Marissa, who's going to talk specifically about the programs. Marissa?
Thank you, Mike and Darren. Now that we've learned a little bit more about the opportunities in the field, you might be asking yourself, which program is best for me? This chart provides a breakdown of each of our programs, and it should be mentioned that they are nested, or rather built into one another. I believe at this time, Bonnie would like to know, Bonnie has a little poll for everyone.
So I've sent a poll out to everyone to take part in. It asks you which of the 3 IT programs you're most interested in before we tell you about them. And then we're going to run this again after and see if you change your mind a little. I'll give you a few minutes to answer. It's your first test of the night. You'll be fine. Just a few more people left to answer. All right, and I'm going to end the poll, and then we'll quickly look and see what you're thinking before we talk about the programs. All right, so if we share the results with you all right now, you can see that 4 of you thought that you really want to get into help desk and network support technician, the first of the nesting dolls. Then 10 of you are thinking cybersecurity operator, and a whopping 82%, or 32 of you, are thinking about the cybersecurity analyst. Wow, I think we're going to run this again in just a few minutes after we talk about the programs and see if anyone's changed their mind. I'll be back. Thanks, Marissa.
Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about each of the programs. We'll start with the first of the nested programs, the foundational course, which is the Help Desk and Network Support Technician. As I said, this is the foundational course. So you'll focus on things like the computer fundamentals, network fundamentals, Microsoft desktop configuration, security basics, help desk ticketing, report writing, and career management. These open up opportunities that are entry level based on customer service, positions such as network support technician, help desk analyst, network analyst, information and referral specialist, and information management assistant. We then get into our cybersecurity operator program, which is going to include all of those help desk and network technician courses with the addition of Security Plus, Linux, and Unified Threat Management. This program offers positions in the mid-level positions, such as cybersecurity specialist, the IT security engineer, first-level support engineer, a Fortinet certified network security associate, a security technical representative, and a security network administrator. Some of the roles that you would be expected to perform and responsibilities would include the application of upgrade patches, new equipment as part of incident response, being an initial point of contact for potentially suspicious cyber event as reported by users, and of course, the first line of defense in discovery of incidents. As you grow into your career and to your program, we have the Cybersecurity Analyst program, which is obviously the most elite of all of our IT programs because it does incorporate everything previously listed with the addition of Cybersecurity Analyst Plus, ethical hacking, cloud security, coding for pen testers, digital forensics, security operations center, and threat intelligence analysis. These positions start at mid-level but advance more quickly based on your merit, and those positions might include the cyber incident response analyst, cyber intrusion analyst, a penetration tester, intrusion detection system administrator, most commonly coined as the IDS administrator. Sorry about that. As you can see, our programs have something for anyone looking to start, change, or advance their career training in information technology and security. Willis College is proud to be recognized by the Department of National Defense, Veterans Affairs, as well as the Canadian Armed Forces. In fact, our Cybersecurity Analyst program is one of the 2 schools in Canada that fulfill the educational requirement for the Canadian Armed Forces Accreditation Certification Equivalency, most commonly known as their ACE list. In addition to the Willis College diploma, which of course is well known and globally recognized, you'll also be provided vouchers to various industry standard certifications of your choosing. We'll go to the next slide here. So there are 7 of the modules Willis College Cybersecurity Analyst programs as far as certifications goes, and those listed there, the 7. And of course, you're not going to require every single one of them in whatever career you choose, and that's why it is of your choosing. And Darren discussed earlier that technology partnerships, this is where those partnerships come in of value in positioning yourself with a diverse range of career opportunities. Back to Mike or Bonnie.
Before Mike comes in, I'm going to relaunch the poll and see if having shared a little tidbit about each of the programs has changed anyone's mind. So let's try again. Now that you've heard some info, which program do you think you would like to pursue and which career opportunity speaks the loudest to you?
Now, Bonnie, I'm still having an issue with my computer. I'm not able to vote here for some.
No, sorry, it's too late for you to vote. You already have a job. You get to work with me, Darren.
This is true. This is true.
I know there are
I thought maybe it was just for the first one.
disadvantages to that, but
I thought maybe it was just for the first one because I know about the program already. That's why I couldn't vote. But okay, now I get it.
And interestingly, the numbers have changed a little bit. I can see them, no one else can yet. All right, I'm going to end the poll in about 1 more second, and then we'll share the new results. So we were down at 4 people thinking they wanted help desk. Now we've gone to 2. We were at 8 for cybersecurity operator. We've gone to 4. And now 93% of our guests think they would like to be the cybersecurity analyst. I think this speaks volumes for what everyone hopes to gain in a career choice as they move forward, which will lead beautifully into Mike talking a little bit about what we do for career services in our school.
Yeah, so I have worked in education now for 25 years, and I've worked on the front end admissions side. I've been a campus director. I've done lots of different things in education, been an instructor. My favorite thing that I've ever got to do is work in the career services portion of the student life cycle. So this is helping students find practicums, if that's applicable to your program. It's related to, recording employment and hearing people got hired, and we really get to know the students, and it's just so exciting to see them get that first career opportunity. So on the Willis College website, career services is front and center because we're extremely focused about student outcomes. So I'm just going to give you a brief tour of this. And I mean, you guys are participating in this webinar because you're wanting to engage in an exciting career. That's what we do. We're here to help facilitate that journey. So with our students, we can help in a variety of different ways. We do one-to-one consultation with them. We do mock interviews. So if you're getting ready to go for a job interview and you're a little nervous, we'll role play that out with you. We help with updating of resumes. We send out job opportunities. The department in the Ottawa campus last week sent out over, I think it was 213 job opportunities for a variety of different programs. But every week we send out job opportunities. Career opportunities that are going to be very meaningful as you proceed through your career. We're basically here to help, and we do this for lifetime. It's free service. So we've had people come back to us and say, I've been in this one position for the last 3 years. I'm looking to grow into something else. Can I get job postings from you again? Absolutely. We've got an interview coming up. Can you mock interview me again? I haven't been on an interview in 3 years. Absolutely. Free services that we do because this is the whole point to education, right? The career. We have portions of the website that are geared towards our corporate partners. So we get job postings every day that come in to hire a grad. Makes it very easy for us to forge partnerships, expand the corporate partnerships, things that are relevant to, again, student success, student outcomes, students starting careers. The last item that I want to talk about is it's a bit of an announcement. We did it at the other webinar, so you're the second group to hear about it. But what we do is, or what we've done is that we've created scholarships. So the first scholarship that I want to announce, and there's going to be more announced throughout the year. But if you go to williscollege.com scholarships, we've got the Women in Technology Scholarship. So we're accepting applications now until July 15th. So again, this is the first scholarship in our scholarship program. It is a full scholarship. Everything is included: books, tuition, exam vouchers, everything. There's no no hidden costs or anything like that. It can be taken in class or online, so however you want to take your education. And we'll be awarding it in August. So if you're interested, you want to go to williscollege.com, click on the Women in Technology Scholarship. We've got a board of trustees that oversees the scholarship, which are just heavy hitters from, I mean, some organizations that Darren mentioned earlier, president and CEO level. It's actually quite an impressive group that we're very thankful for their volunteerism. Further down the page, there mentions the selection process, and to start your application, you just click there, and what comes up right away is an acknowledgement of, you know, I guess this would be the only fine print if I could say that there is fine print, but for anyone, any female in Canada, we're interested in this. We're really proud that this is the first one that we've launched. And I guess this is where I throw it back to you, Bonnie. I hope that there's a lot of interest in this. We do have some applicants now, but we want more because it's a great opportunity, right?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for sharing that with us. The lifetime career services, the job search features, the interview, and the scholarship are all what separate us and make us proud of our student outcomes every year. That number of 90% that Darren gave earlier for our employment rate is truly something we're very proud of at Willis College. What I'd like to do now is start taking some questions. There's a few that have turned up in the chat box, so I'm going to open and head out to various people on our panel. So let's see, I have a question from Matthew. I think maybe we'll go to Darren with this question. Darren, how would our diploma compared to a graduate certificate or a master's degree as far as job requirements or competitiveness goes?
I think a really good question, and my response would maybe be different had this question been posed 10 years ago as opposed to right now. Certainly, you know, having a bachelor's degree, having a master's degree is a very exceptional achievement, and what we've seen because of the demand in the IT space generally, and in the cybersecurity industry in particular, the focus has really shifted in the last 10 years away from, you know, which university someone might have come from because the hiring manager has come from that same university, to more of a focus on what can pragmatically be achieved by the person being hired. How much value can the organization get out of the person joining their team and building a career with them, becoming a part of their organizational family, and really a focus on the quality of the person together with the experience, together with the demonstrated capabilities. With our programs at Willis College, while we were describing, you know, there's a help desk technician, there's a cybersecurity operator, there's the cybersecurity analyst, and how these Matryoshka dolls fit together with each other. But in the course of delivering our training, it truly is training. There is a lot of hands-on that our courses apply to the learning environment. And what this really means when you think about it, when you're taking your resume forward as a graduate, you will be able to refer to a lot of these real-world type projects that you will have conducted as a student within the lab environment at Willis College as being akin to working on a cybersecurity project with an employer, because we model our real-world situations according to direction that we get from our technological partners, according to input that we receive from our program advisory committee, which is staffed by individuals very similar to the people sitting on the board of trustees, people with very direct real-world insights, and that informs our curriculum. So diploma, degree, master's degree, they're not quite as important as they once were. What's important is you and what you've been able to achieve in the learning environment that you're operating in, and what you're going to achieve creatively working in your new role.
Thank you, Darren. Marissa, I have a question for you. Mido says that he has no, or is previous education or experience in IT required to enter into the program?
The short answer is no, because our program, as we said, is nested. We start with those foundational courses. So even if you don't have any prior experience, you will be taught those foundational and fundamental skills to help you build into your career in cybersecurity.
Excellent, thank you. I was curious to what degree a diploma as a cybersecurity analyst from Willis would fulfill prerequisite requirements for a master's program. Darren, are you able to answer that one? Is what we provide in our 64-week program for CSA, would that be fulfilling any pre-requirements for the master's program?
I'm afraid I don't know the answer to this question. I know that for different master's programs, depending upon the institution, depending upon the program itself, there can be sort of different intake requirements or elements that can be basically plarred into the application. Really, that would depend on the specifics of the organization you're looking at. In my own case, I'm a professional accountant, and I know when I was looking into master's programs, some years ago, it would vary depending upon which university I was looking at, whether the CPA designation carried any weight, and how much of it could be counted towards a prerequisite.
It's very, very university specific. It's definitely something you'd have to discuss with the university that you're doing your master's at. Thank you for your answer, Darren. What makes, I love this question. Abdi has asked us, and maybe Marissa and Mike can both help with this question. What makes us different compared to other providers of this program? Marissa, I'll let you go first.
Start with that. We have a couple different delivery methods. Not everyone is able to do Monday to Friday in this day and age. Not everyone has the luxury of quitting their full-time jobs to go to school, and some have the luxury of being in class full-time. It's a delivery method that sets us apart. We have both in-person classes, online delivery. Small class sizes, I think, really sets us apart from other schools because you get that individual attention. You are not, student number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You are Bonnie, you are Darren, you are Mike, right? So I think the personal attention that you get, the hands-on, whether it's remote or online, there is a computer lab component to this program, and it is quite interactive. And I think a lot of people make the assumption that because it's online or it's remote, you're not getting those hands-on experiences that you would as you were in person. And that could be further from the truth. And I think both Darren and Mike can attest to that. So I think more so personalization, the true one-on-one that you would get in class is definitely something that sets us apart from the other schools. Along with the delivery, which we can talk a little bit more one-on-one if anyone is interested in learning more about that.
Thank you, Marissa. You know what? I don't even need Mike now.
Oh, wow.
But I'll come back to you, I promise. Excellent. So Oscar, actually, this is a great question for you, Mike. Oscar has asked a question. Does Willis help the student find a co-op or practicum? So only one of the IT programs has a practicum requirement, Mike. Which one is it?
It's the Help Desk Network Technician. I know because I registered the program. Yeah, so for that specific program, any programs that there is a practicum component of, the Career Services Department will absolutely assist. And I want to be very clear when I say assist, because I know with some educational providers, they'll say, well, we'll assist you. And it's like, you know, they'll give you lists of company names, or they'll sort of say, here's a seminar or a career management course on, you know, how to approach someone, but then you got to go hit the bricks and do it. We actually have staff from Edmonton to in Nova Scotia, across Canada, to assist the online students and in-class students by actually leveraging our contacts. I mean, the last question I was going to add to is related to this as well. Our alumni. Willis College has been around a long time, and just because we're older, it doesn't mean that we're better. But we've got quite the network of alumni, graduates that know the quality, know how they were treated, the caliber of the education. So, you know, you combine high quality education with, you know, amazing instructors. I've, again, 25 years in education, and Willis College is easily the most student outcome focused organization that I've been a part of, which works really well because, as I said, my passion is the final portion, and that's the placements and seeing that you start your careers off. So I hope that answers the question.
It's okay. I gave him the short answer, which was a yes.
Thanks for the assist, Bonnie.
You're welcome. Robert has a really fabulous question, and I can actually answer it, which is shocking because I know nothing about IT, but this is a great question for me. So Robert asks, he resides in Ottawa, but he wants to know if he has to do in-person class or if he could do the fully online option. For him, mobility is a bit of an issue. Robert, the answer to your question is that we can absolutely accommodate online for you. We are licensed to provide the CSA, CSO, and help desk programs online in Ontario and in person. So we would be happy to help you either way. And the question right below it is, are our programs eligible for OSAP funding? And Marissa, I'll let you take that one. Thank you.
Yes, we are licensed and registered in provinces coast to coast, as well as obviously Ontario. So OSAP is definitely available to those that are eligible.
Thank you so much. And then Darren, I'm going to ask you to help me with this question. It's got several layers, so I'll try to bring it down to some simple sentences for us. Shadi has asked, Shadi, I think, is a newcomer to Canada. He's been here less than a year, and he is worried that will be a disadvantage for him, and wants to know if, one, he needs a security clearance, two, how much of an English language level he would require, and if being a newcomer to Canada would lessen his ability to get a job in the field.
I'll address the easiest question first, which is in fact the last question. Being a newcomer to Canada, in fact, is not a barrier to either achieving success with our program or to finding employment once you graduate. In fact, Willis College has a stellar track record of helping newcomers to Canada who have IT backgrounds, and in some cases even degrees from universities and colleges outside of Canada, get on their feet and achieve the Willis College diploma, take that diploma forward, take the voucher forward to get any of the industry certifications that Marissa was showing, and really launch their career. The second easiest question for me to address is the one pertaining to the security clearance. Having a government-issued security clearance is vital for most government-related jobs and certain critical industry-related jobs. However, in the broader corporate sector, by and large, having a security clearance is not a fundamental requirement to most of the cybersecurity jobs that they advertise for. In my own case, for example, while I do have a security clearance now, for the first nearly 20 years of my career, I did not, because there was no requirement for me to have one. And I worked, quite extensively in a consulting field. It was only a challenge if I was dealing with consulting clients who were the Canadian federal government or related entities. The third part of the question, and I'm afraid I've already lost what that that question was. I have a pen right here. I should have written it down. Sorry about that.
So Shadi wanted English requirements, the criminal record check, and then would the fact that he's only been here for a short time be a disadvantage?
Okay. Criminal record check for sure is a fundamental requirement for most businesses in Canada. So that one's an even easier one to address. The English language requirement, it is part of our intake process that we will do an English language assessment. I'm sorry, I can't recall what the test is actually called, but it's fundamental to the delivery of our program, simply because even though there are technical aspects to it, and programming languages are programming languages, and a person can learn them no matter what cultural background they may have. In terms of the business communications that we conduct our studies in, it's all in English.
Thank you, Darren. Are there any more questions that anyone has? Please enter them into the chat box or into the Q&A. We're very happy to answer any that you have. There seems to be a resounding number of questions, Marissa, regarding the differences between the lengths of the programs and the prices for the programs. So prices, I think we should probably address individually through the advisors, but maybe you could speak to the length of the program for me.
Yeah, for sure. The Help Desk and Network Technician Program, help me out here, is it 35 weeks?
Yes.
Yes, 35 weeks. The CyberSecurity Operator Program is a little bit longer, of course, 48 weeks, so less than a year. And our CyberSecurity Analyst Program is 64 weeks in duration.
Thank you so much. And then I'm just answering a question for Samuel. Samuel is looking for some information on our liaison with the Canadian Armed Forces. So I am going to let Samuel know that we will address his question offline and give him all of the information that he requires, because we do have a fabulous liaison process with armed forces. And a question just came in from Gabriella. She was a test engineer. She's switched to small business owner for the last 15 years. She'd like to get back into technical. And do we think that she is qualified enough to be able to take a CSA program with us? So I guess really, does she need to have a massive IT background, and is being a test engineer from 15 years ago something that would help her? Darren, can I ask you to answer that? Sorry.
Okay. Well, it does sound like a Darren sort of question, yes.
And reading at the same time. I'm not very good at multitasking tonight.
Understood. And, I'm happy to hear, Gabriella, that you were a small business owner, and especially for the period of time that you were. Just as a brief aside, for a few years of my career, I was working exclusively with small business owners throughout Canada, but mainly in the US, and just the impact that you would have had on your community and in that sort of a function is one not to be underestimated. And I would say that you would not find this to be too significant a leap to transition from a small business owner back into a technical sort of role, especially if you were a test engineer further back in your career journey. So I'd certainly encourage you to take a close look at some of the details around the Willis College program. And as you pointed out, this time I managed to pull up the Q&A box here, so I don't have to ask for questions to be repeated. That was embarrassing. I'm sorry to put people through that. But following on to that combination of experience that you have, this CSA, the cybersecurity analyst, is something that looks like a very natural fit for that career background, I would say.
So I just have a question. I'm just typing the answer actually about how we design our program and talking about the industry feedback that we get for our program and how we ask the industry to look at our curriculum. Maybe Mike, could you address that a little further for me, because you did our submissions?
Yeah, so the submission process for the regulatory bodies is different in every province, but in when I was registering the programs out of Manitoba, as an example, labor market data comes from everything from national occupation codes related to the program. So I'm going off the top of my head here, but the computer network technicians NOC code was relevant to the CSO, the information systems analysts and consultants. I don't remember the actual numbers. That was relevant to the CSA, just as a couple of examples. Statistics Canada tracks hiring, people coming into the sector, people leaving the sector, and they basically have a rating system of, I can't remember whether it was 3 or 5 stars, but all of these programs were, 2 of them were 5-starred or 3-starred, whatever the highest level was. The other was, actually it had to be 5 because the other was a 4. So we knew right then and there that this was something that was trending, and they do analysis going out. I believe it was an 8-year study that we were only 2 years in. So there's a 6-year forecast that the cybersecurity sector is expected to continue to grow. So then when we get that information, we go to job banks, Indeed, all different sources on the net. And we call up companies and we ask them, how many postings have you had in the past number of years? We're doing some labor market studies. So we try to liaise with human resources department. And then when we figure out the skills that are required, because you want to look at those job postings to figure out what actual skills are they looking for. We make sure in our program development that those skills are incorporated into the program. And there's extensive, I won't bore you with the details, but let's just say that the government forms have a lot of room for documentation on them. I'll just leave it at that. So we know that when these programs are being evaluated, it'll say like, I'm looking for this skill, that skill, and this skill. Where is that in the program? So there's lots of cross-referencing. The final step of the submission is to actually get industry attestations. Basically, those are testimonials that people who they have to meet a certain criteria. They have to either be a hiring manager or like someone with credibility in the HR department, the department head. And they basically write letters and say, I've reviewed this program. Here's the things I like about it. If they make any recommendations for something to be in the program, there's this part of the submission where we document that and why it was put in or why it wasn't. And I can tell you 90% plus of the time, we make sure that those things are incorporated. And then finally, we bundle that all together, and it's a huge document set that really cross-references what the sector has been looking for, what national occupation code it maps to, and who's actually reviewed this. So I basically just synthesized a massive, like months long process into 4 or 5 minutes. So I hope that all makes sense.
Thank you, Mike. I just have one question for Darren before we close on questions for this evening. I've been typing as many answers as I could. And this one, I'm afraid I truly don't know. So I'm going to defer to you, Darren. Travis has been asking some fabulous questions, most of which I've been able to answer. So thank you, Travis. So Travis asks, have we looked into including PWK OSCP certification into the program in the future? He's currently working through it. It's a curiosity question mostly.
Not that specific one, although I'm, I have an awareness of what it is. It's going to sound like my response is going to go hand in glove a bit with Michael's response to the previous question, and that's because it is. One of the elements of our process for determining upon elements of our curriculum and the specific lesson plans that come into it, there's of course the alignment to the competencies and skills that government forecasters put out. We also have very direct input from our technology partners that were on the slide that Marissa was speaking to. We also have something that's called the Cyber PAC, which is a Cyber Program Advisory Committee. This is peopled by different industry leaders, and because Willis College is a pan-Canadian operation now, it's part of my job to make sure the industry leaders are reflecting the geographical and industry and cultural diversity of Canada, and I'm working very diligently on that. But when we're looking at some of the certifications, we see how prevalent they are among the industry groups that we work so closely with in positioning our graduates for career candidacies. We also navigate the elements relating to the excellence in our curriculum by having independent reviews. So just as Michael was describing about how we will get testimonials from industry leaders, we also, in certain provinces, are required to have our curriculum reviewed by an industry expert, reviewed and approved, basically, almost audited, you could view it that way. And we're very proud to say that we have probably one of the top reviewers that we could ever hope for on the entire continent, reviewing our cybersecurity curriculum, someone who's fulfilled a role very similar to this in a professional standards capacity for CPA Canada. So definitely taking note of this certification. You're not the first person who's raised that certification to my attention, and we will look into it. At the current time, though, it's not something that has an immediate direct play into our curriculum as currently constituted. I know that's a long answer to say it's not part of it right now, but I thought the story was important. So
thank you, Travis. I do hope that helped answer your question a little bit. Darren or Mike, whichever one of you is comfortable with this question, an average salary for a cyber analyst at the beginning of their career?
Ooh, that's a tough question because it varies all across Canada. You have to take into account, are you somebody who has X number of years, related experience or sort of experience, it's a tangent that supports, the skills that you've got from a technology standpoint. In Winnipeg, I've seen it anywhere from a junior position of 35,000 up to 47 to start. People who are from Vancouver and Ottawa and Toronto just probably fainted. They're like, that doesn't support anything there. So in those jurisdictions, those communities, you're probably looking at 55 and up. That's a hard question to answer. You can go into the job bank, and maybe what I'll do, I'll try to see if I can find it and we can include this to send it out. But you can go into the Canada Job Bank and it will give you a starting, an average, and a high end for the occupation. It'll give you a time frame for when that data was collected. That's really where you want to go. But just to say blanket for, across Canada, it's such a huge variance. Good question. Toughest question I've had yet.
I love putting you on the spot, Mike. And I will say that WAFA, one of our fabulous student advisors, has looked up the NOC code. So the NOC code, according to that, the average wage is $28 per hour and the high end is $43 per hour. So that gives you a kind of idea what that would look like.
Right. And so that's per hour. So if you want to figure out what that is salary, you would just multiply those numbers by 2 approximately. So at 28, you're over
56.
Yeah, 56 a year.
I'll do the math for you, Mike. It's okay.
Thanks, Bonnie.
And then I have another lovely quote, which I can also answer. I'm very excited. It says, should I be nervous? It's my first online course. And my answer to that is absolutely not. I promise we will look after you. We're very good at it. And we have a great team of people to support you. And I think that's pretty much all of our questions. I have been trying to answer them as fast as I can. We will be getting the question transcript and we'll make sure that we haven't missed anybody and ensure that everyone is able to have their question answered. And one more just came in from Lynn. So Lynn, are students required for the online program to follow weekly or at their own pace? The answer to that question, Lynn, is to follow weekly. We do want students to start and finish the program still in the time set aside. So for CSA, that would still be 64 weeks. We do have 2 check-in points, mandatory check-in points a week, with live lectures with the instructors, and then optional live lectures 3 times a week. Our online process is very different from your standard online where you're given the information and left to do it on your own. We do want to make sure that it's very hands-on. We have a really concise set of labs that come with your online application, so that when you start school, you have all of the labs available for your computer virtually. I do hope that answers your question. If we have nothing else, I'm hoping that I remembered to put the last poll in. I have to say at this point, I'm not even sure if I did, because I did, look at that. So if you were going to start school, if you thought that maybe coming to school and taking one of our programs was something that you wanted, what month would you like to start? Would you like to start in July, September, or November? And I'll give you just a few minutes to answer that question for us. Marissa and Mike, if you wouldn't mind into the chat box, please put in your email addresses for any students who have any direct questions. For Mike regarding careers and for Marissa regarding entering into school. She'll be happy to direct you to an advisor.
And I just wanted to mention, I see one of the comments from Travis mentioning that CSE and CSIS spoke very highly of us. That's great feedback to hear. And well, I'm wondering, Travis, if we know some of the same people. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm sure we must, but
and Lynn, your own computer at home is perfectly usable for the online courses. We supply you with any downloads and software programs that you need. So thank you very much for that. And Darren has very kindly put in his LinkedIn for all of you. Join him for coffee. He's a big coffee drinker. He'll be happy to see you all.
That's right. I think we are going to probably formalize the crossing paths over coffee thing, just like it was last year. Come to think of it. By the way, if you do reach out to me on LinkedIn, just let me know where we had the connection from, because I get all manner of invitations, and sad to say, sometimes I don't respond. I don't accept all of them if I'm not able to make the connection. So
thank you, Darren. So I'm going to share the results, and it's really quite fascinating. So if you were starting school, you would want to start school. 24% of you wanted to start school in July. That's good, because we have a July start ready to go. September, of course, we have September starts. We're both in person and online. 71% of you would like September, and 9% would like November, thinking you're just not quite ready to take that giant leap into education, but we're here when you are ready. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time today. The recording will be available on our website. And if you have missed something or you know someone who wanted to come but was unable to come, please reach out. We'll be very happy to share the recording with everybody and all of the transcripts. I hope that we've answered all of your questions, and thank you for your time tonight. And I'll leave the closing comments for Darren. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I wasn't okay.
You're off guard
I
right
wasn't
now.
realize I was gonna, end the show. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining into to this webinar. Hope you found it very informative, and just speaking as someone who's been working in this industry for the length of time that I have, it's a very exciting field to get into. You never stop learning. You never stop meeting great people, and I'm just delighted to be a part of what Willis is doing to shape the next generation of cybersecurity professionals.
Excellent. And there is one question that came in, Marissa. I might quickly ask you to answer it just because I think it's an important question for our guests tonight. My college degree is from India. What equivalency process do I need to apply?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, actually. That's great that you have a background, you have an education, but we do also have an entrance assessment that we will provide, which gives us a good idea as to where the skill sets are. So when you speak with your student advisor, they will talk to you in more detail about that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marissa, Darren, and Mike. It has been my pleasure to host this webinar tonight. Thank you to all of our guests. Please take care. And if we can be of any help, Marissa and Mike have shared their email addresses. We are here, and it's what we do every day. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.